everyone, this is Where We Stand, where we talk about the games we play and what we like about them. Today, we're going to be talking about Halo 2, and how we felt, where's this going to go. So, this is Dion, and that's Daryl, and here we go, Where We Stand, Halo 2.
Alrighty, and with that, let's start with the, as usual by now, the strengths and what we liked about Halo 2. Starting with the obvious, Halo 2 is a massive leap from Halo 1 in many different ways. I could go into the narrative first, but first I gotta talk about that dual wielding. That stuck out to me the most. I'm a sucker for dual wielding. When I played the Darkness, when I play any other first person shooter, you give me the option to dual wield guns, I'm gonna dual wield guns. And you know, if you were there to watch me and Dion playing through Halo 2, like 90% of the time, he saw me, I was holding 2 needle guns or something like that, and I'm like, what? I came to take names and kick ass.
No, I agree, and and it was strong. That's the good point too. It was actually strong. It was very useful throughout the whole experience, so that which makes it even better. And this is my second time playing, or third time playing, somewhere around there, maybe fifth probably. Playing through Halo 2. It's been a very long time since I played. I remember it being just such a surprise when it came for me. So, I mean, it's also surprising. It's not just a natural progression, I think, of the game. So seeing that kind of new gameplay was, I think that's just awesome, and it was a good experience. 100%.
Your Discord was cutting you out a bit, but I got you.
So, and then besides the dual wielding, I think, another strong piece, was the narrative. You kind of hinted to this. I think, let's just talk about cutscenes in general. There's cutscenes in this game, and not only are there cutscenes, they're wide, ultra wide, aspect cutscenes, 21:9, like a movie, which is not normal in video games at all, and they're just really well done. And there was none in Halo 1, so I don't know where it came from, but it was just awesome to see cutscenes in the game, and it just really helped the story a lot because you had those moments that really could explore different things that they couldn't really as easily explore through regular gameplay.
I also want to just sync this in real quick. Whenever we were playing Halo 1 and Halo 2, there was an option where we could, because we were playing in the Master Chief Collection, we had the option to press tab to turn the graphics from old school classic Halo to how they look in the modern sense. I don't think they do that with 3 and on, but still. So if you didn't press tab, if you pressed tab and had that pressed before you started, then 9 times out of 10 you saw the cutscene that originally played out, and then they redid those cutscenes in the more the gorgeous and chic style that they do now. So that has something to do with it, but that doesn't change the fact that what you're saying still has merit. It's just I just felt like we should point that out because I don't think I mentioned that in the last video.
Agreed. And I never saw any of the old cutscenes because I made sure not to see any of the old ones. But I love them. They were great. The new ones for sure. Definitely a big strong point if you were to play the game now in the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Speaking of just how gorgeous the game could be, one of the examples of that for me is on Cairo Station, where for me a lot of the greatness of Cairo Station not only stems from the fact that you just jump right into the game and whatnot, and guns blazing and whatnot. You kind of did in the first game, but not in the same way you do here, where Chief is literally telling Johnson, I need a weapon. I can't do Master Chief's voice, and I probably did it a disservice, but I don't care. That's all he said, he went for it, and I enjoyed that. But the lighting in the level really, avoid the pun, forget it, shun. And I really enjoyed how much it gave life to the environment despite all the death and whatnot.
Right, and I agree. And then, when you go out into that space, which we were lost.
Yes.
Badly lost in the space. But it was super cool going out and seeing, being in space. I can't think of many games that do that except for maybe space sims. But other than that, you don't really see that normally in a shooter where you're going out in space too often. It happens a few times, but I just thought it was really a cool experience going out there and seeing, oh, this is the station from the outside, looking at it in the old view versus the new view, the new graphics versus the old graphics. I thought that was just mind blowing. So,
Yeah.
very good, very very well done mission, I have to say.
And just to extend that just a little bit for the sake of time, I'm going to say that two other highlights for missions that I really enjoyed for very specific reasons were the Arbiter mission, where I just enjoyed where the music really just kicked off. The music in Halo has always been good, but I really enjoy the rock track that was going on in the background when you were flying the Banshee, you were chasing someone. I can't remember who, but I enjoyed just the guitar solo going. I'm like, really? Is this what we're doing right now? I feel pumped for no reason. That's great. Another mission.
I agree.
No, go for it. What?
No, I agree that that music was very good and unexpected, maybe I would say, but it definitely fit. And then just to add on to the Arbiter mission, the nice part of seeing the Arbiter, playing as the Arbiter, who would have expected that when that game first came out? You're playing as this Arbiter, and it's very different from playing as Master Chief, which I thought was cool. They changed your little visor and everything. They go all the way out on this. You change the visor, the style of the mission. Your teammates are different. Daryl couldn't stop shooting the elites at all. The whole game couldn't stop killing them. That followed into Halo 3. I'm just saying.
They look when you have a shift like that, I'm gonna end up killing my own teammates. I can't help it. They look like the enemy.
I'm just saying, but it was cool. Like the playing in that other character was cool. And I think the other mission you really wanted to mention was Metropolis.
Yeah.
Which I have a strong opinion on. Metropolis is a beautiful mission. When you jump into Metropolis, the scale is huge. It's crazy, like how big that level is and what's really going on. Versus a Halo 1 large scale mission, it's a whole nother level, a whole nother experience. Especially when you get to boarding that ship or that crawler. That is freaking fantastic, I have to say.
Speaking of boarding the crawler and whatnot, if I can't remember exactly, but was that the scene where Johnson appeared to the Arbiter? Was that Johnson was there? No, I remember. I remember the hoorah scene. That's what I was thinking about. That's when I fell in love with Johnson. I'm like, yo, I'm happy he didn't die. Did they retcon his death? I don't remember, because I'm pretty sure we saw him in Halo 1 when the Flood was introduced, but I don't know, you didn't see him die on camera or anything like that, but it's like they swarmed and you kind of just assumed it. And then here, in this game, there's even a Marine who's like, Johnson, what was it like? How'd you get out of there or something? And he just said, I ain't telling, or something like that. Yeah. Along those lines. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, be cheeky. That sounds like you, Johnson. But the missions I liked aside, I think you had two missions that you enjoyed too, like Outskirts and Gravemind, right?
Yeah, so Outskirts, so you start in Carroll Station, right? And I think Outskirts is when you finally go down to the Earth, and this is the first large-scale map, right? This is before you get to the big metropolis. This is already large-scale. You're already seeing everything unfold. You defend a mission. First you defend a little area, then you start going through the city, which I thought, that was just awesome. I thought it was a great experience.
Yeah.
And then Gravemind, that mission I just really liked, because that's when you go finally back to that Covenant ship. You can't get out of it. And you get to see, it's like a mothership, right? So you get to feel that whole experience of being on a ship. And I think, that just calls to me. And I just really love that. And I just thought they did it really well. It was a well-designed spaceship, and just how the level flows was awesome. How they start you off with those two brutes in the room. This is when you first start fighting brutes, if I'm not mistaken. New enemy type. Get to them a little later. But that's when you first fight them. It was just a really cool experience, and something, it's been a while since I played Halo 2, so I just didn't see it coming. And awesome. Just a freaking awesome experience. So, awesome. Just done well.
Mm-hmm. While we're on the track of positives, if I could step away from level design for a moment, and just the missions in general, I have to say I really enjoyed the energy sword. Why is that so hard to say together? Energy sword and the nade shot. First of all, isn't this the first game so far? In the first Halo game where you can hold the energy sword. I feel like we've seen it.
Yep,
We've seen it a lot in Halo 1.
We did, but this is the first game you can hold it, which I didn't remember after playing the Halo series, a while ago. I didn't know this was the first game until we started playing it. This is the first game you get to play with that sword.
Mm-hmm. It's a really cool weapon. I like it. Gives me lightsaber feelings when I'm just like, cool. I'm gonna stab someone with this. The problem is, it's Halo, so if you're not careful and you're just going around stabbing people with it, you're gonna get shot in the back, which is likely.
By
Typically,
me.
Yeah, by you or by some brute with a nade shot, because screw those nade shots. Even though that's my second weapon I really enjoy. I love the nade shot because again it goes boom, but it has but the impact aside, I've played a lot of games where I've had like a grenade launcher or like a grenade lobber or whatever, and typically they're underwhelming for me. Like they don't have outside the initial sound effect and it flies at the enemy. Typically there's like a tick, 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 boom. Like that's pointless. They're just gonna run away from it. In this game, you shoot that, it blows on impact, which is a blessing and a curse because sometimes I'm on the receiving end of it, and I don't like that.
No, I agree. It definitely killed me multiple times. To iterate, I just think the weapons in general, there's a lot more options here. Very good job. Obviously, the shotgun, little weaker in this game. Definitely a little weaker in this game. It felt weaker anyway when you shot it, but such an awesome weapon either way. I just love it. I love it, love it, love it.
And trailing back to story beats, though, you had some opinions on just the general balance of one story and the other, back and forth between Chief and Arbiter.
Right. I think kudos to them. They did a really good job here. First you start as what you expect, Master Chief. I thought, even though I knew from playing in the past, it just felt like, you're going to play as Master Chief throughout the whole game. And then you're just thrown in at the Arbiter mission as Arbiter. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is not what I paid for. This is not what I expected. And it was just cool. It was really cool to see that change. And then you flipped back and forth a couple times here. I believe you only did it twice. You get to go back to Arbiter, and you go back to Chief, and then you go back to Arbiter one more time, and back to Chief to finish it off. I just think that flipping was super cool. It was just a really cool aspect. Brought something different to the story, and it gave you a different perspective, and it just thought a different experience through the gameplay as well, just because they made it such a different experience between the different characters. So I mean, it just really, 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 really cool. And I loved how they brought them together for a short period of time. Brought the Flood in. The Flood is like the guy for a minute. There's like, we have to work together, and then they, I love that. Then they separate one more time. I just thought that was super cool, and how they joined forces. Even though they weren't friends, that story beat and how they did that. Excellent work, guys. Excellent work.
Which, speaking of which, when the I can't remember what the creature's name was, but it was this weird, really weird, disturbing looking tentacle monster thing that you see in every hentai. I'm joking. In that moment, I think after that point is when you start, you kind of already had a feeling as the story was going on that the brutes were the main enemy, but that takes us to the brutes, who, are also a thing. Hence the main enemy you're fighting against after, not the main enemy, but like the enemy you start realizing is the true enemy in Halo 2. You could argue the Flood is probably a main enemy, but I feel like they're more like they're like the eventual coming of destruction versus the brutes, where they're like, no, we're trying to cause destruction because we're the brutes. And that brings me to my annoyances with the brutes. Brutes can be a pain when they charge, and all you can do is jump. And this goes back to what I said in the first Halo video, where I said that I didn't like the fact that all I could do was jump. I couldn't like sprint or vault or run away from anything in the standard, but I let that pass because I figure that's just how Halo is. Most enemies are not going to be that close or in your face, and if in the sword dudes, the energy sword guys, you see them coming from a mile away, even if they're invisible. It's whatever. That's fine. Brutes, on the other hand, they charge at you, and all I could do is like, I'm just gonna bunny hop, boing, and hope that I don't get nade shot. There I go, dead.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, the brutes were very much like, you shot them, they dropped their weapon, and they charged you. but they took way too many shots. It was just wasn't. It didn't feel balanced. Didn't feel even. It felt like they were just really strong. And I think that was I think that's what they were going for. But I think they may have pushed it a little too far. And you know, the Flood does that too, right? The Flood charges at you. This is just different. It was just like, you hit him a few times, drops his weapons, and he attacks, and it was just annoying. I did not enjoy fighting them whenever they showed up. I was like, here we go again.
Yeah, the difference is with the difference is with the Flood is that the Flood does that too, but they're also they're not tanky necessarily. They make up for what their weakness with numbers. It's when you're getting a lot of them charging at you that you're scared. If it's just one or two, it's whatever. One brute charging at you is enough to make me scared.
Agreed.
Especially if I'm standing next to a ledge and they're like, I'm gonna charge you off the ledge. Like, well, what do I do? I guess I'm dead. Okay. You know, and then I die. And then I'm sitting here thinking, okay, Dion's gonna get out of there, right? Oh no, he's gonna get pincered by two brutes. I'm charging
multiple times.
Yep. Oh boy.
I was gonna say, especially on that grave mine mission that I mentioned, you know, the grave mine, that happened probably millions of times on that one mission, definitely. Big.
It was aggravating. Almost as aggravating as the cliffhanger was for you.
Oh my goodness. The cliffhanger. All I can say is cliffhanger, ... Why? Why did we, you know, Halo 1 had an ending. You finished the fight on Halo in Halo 1. Halo 2 was not a finish the fight kind of thing. It's like you did something, you stopped one guy, you know, one out of many, by the way. You stopped one guy, and then it kind of ended on a very intentional cliffhanger, not with no closure. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember this. This is awful. What if I didn't have Halo 3 immediately? If I was playing Halo 2 back in the day, I can imagine how aggravated it would be. Wait, 3 years for Halo 3 to play the rest of the game? It just made Halo 3 feel like, you know, it was supposed to be one game. I didn't like the cliffhanger. I just felt like every game needs to have an ending, some type of resolution, so you feel like that part of the story was resolved before it moves on to the second one. It's just, I think that's just good storytelling. They didn't do that successfully for me.
Yeah, I've played plenty of games where abrupt cliffhangers. It really depends on what precedes it. Like spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3 if anyone hasn't played Kingdom Hearts 3. But, you know, at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, essentially the game wraps up, but there are a few loose threads. You don't know where Sora goes after the end of the game, and you don't know where him and Riku end up after that in the end credits scene, even with the extra context of Remind. But that kind of cliffhanger, I think, is fine because you close the initial story. Mm-hmm. That cliffhanger is just setting up the next route.
Right. But, I agree.
But, you know, however you may feel, Nomura's going to execute that. But we can talk about Nomura another day. But with Halo 2, it's like it's got you on a high and you're going for it. And you're enjoying your time and whatnot. And then suddenly it feels like you get slammed with the wall. Like, nope. Like that's it. I'm thinking, did you guys run out of space, or did you guys think you could like release Halo 3 within a few months? I feel like if there was like if DLCs were more of a thing back then maybe Halo 3 would have probably been a DLC to Halo 2. That's how it would have felt, and I would have been very bothered with that. But still, you know, that's how abrupt that felt. It felt like you ran into a wall on a roller coaster, rather than going into a tunnel and then you see a branching path somewhere else. Like, I wonder where that goes. Right. That's how it felt to me.
It's classic storytelling. So I don't know what happened there. So no, there was just a few more things you really wanted to mention. Some small personal preferences. Go ahead.
The Marines need to shut up. They don't annoy me that much in retrospect, but sometimes I'm just sitting there like this is a really tense moment. I don't know what's gonna happen to this person or to that person. Where's Keys? Oh no, Johnson. All this stuff. And the Marines here like, man, I'm glad to have Master Chief on my side. Hey Chief, after this you want to crack a beer? Hey, I'm like, there's a reason that Master Chief doesn't talk, and I feel like this is it. Well, it doesn't talk often. to people, and I think this is it. He'd much rather talk to Cortana because she's not trying to like crack jokes with him 24/7. Even though I love their banter, but still.
100%. I like the banter, but I definitely agree they get a little I don't know. They just keep going. They don't stop really.
and there are some that I'm like fine with. Like I get the vibe of Halo. Again, I keep going back to Johnson's initial hoorah thing. I was like, yeah, okay, that sets the tone for the Marines. I'm fine with that. And I get the Marines are near chief, so when you're near chief, someone who's a certified badass, you're naturally going to have a morale boost. I get that. But do you really need to be talking in my ear like 24/7? I really make it sound like I hate them, but I don't. It's just a thing of I'm trying to focus, and you're just yelling, random things that have nothing to do with the fight.
No, I agree, 100%. I just want to give up, our closing thoughts on what we thought about Halo 2. So a little bit for me, I think Halo 2 once again, great co-op experience. Playing it with a friend, 100% recommend it. I will say it's a huge step on Halo Combat Evolved, 100%. Big missions, dual wielding, just a few minor annoyances and a cliffhanger ending. But other than that, you get a great story, fun experience. It's not super long, but it's a fun playthrough, and I definitely recommend playing through it. Definitely worth visiting or revisiting for a second time if you haven't done that yet.
Yep. And for me, I feel very much the same way and whatnot. For me, I'm gonna sum it up as Halo 2 and Halo 1, or the transition from Halo 1 to Halo 2 is the same transition for me from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2. In that sense, that's how that made me feel. And that's a very good thing. That's a very good thing, mind you. That's how I'm gonna sum that up. So, Dion, if you want to take us out.
Sure. So fair enough. Well, that was Dion. This is Dion, and that was Daryl, and we are closing up the queue today. Thanks everyone for joining us. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we'd love to see you in our next video. Have a good one.
Later, guys.